2 weeks after that unforgettable interview, Amelia walked into the glass tower of Hartwell Industries again, but this time, not as a desperate applicant. She was an employee. Her ID badge gleamed under the lobby lights, and her heart swelled with a quiet pride. She had never thought she'd be here. The same building that once made her feel small now held the promise of a new beginning. Ethan had woken up that morning with a smile, waving as she dropped him off at the small daycare Mr. Hartwell's assistant had arranged, free of charge. It was his idea. He had told her on her first day, no parent should have to choose between their child and their career. Amelia's days quickly filled with work, handling reports, organizing meetings, and learning the company's operations. It was challenging, but she poured her heart into every task. Her co-workers were polite, though some whispered behind her back. She only got hired because the CEO felt sorry for her, one muttered. Amelia pretended not to hear. She knew she'd have to prove herself, not just as a mother, but as someone who belonged. Mr. Hartwell, meanwhile, watched her progress quietly. From his office window, he often saw her stay late, rechecking data, her brow furrowed in concentration. She wasn't just hardworking, she was remarkable. Her ideas during team meetings were thoughtful, her solutions creative. One evening, he found her still at her desk long after everyone else had gone home. Papers were spread around, and the glow from her monitor illuminated her tired but determined face. "Still here?" he asked gently. She looked up, startled. "Oh, Mr. Hartwell, I was just finalizing the quarterly report. I wanted to make sure it was perfect for tomorrow." He smiled slightly. "Perfection can wait. You've done enough for one day." She hesitated, then said quietly, "Thank you for giving me this chance. I know not everyone agreed with your decision." He leaned against the desk, his expression thoughtful. "People often judge what they don't understand. But I saw something in you that reminded me of why I started this company, resilience." For a moment, their eyes met, two people from different worlds who somehow understood each other perfectly. Over the following months, Amelia's life began to transform. Her confidence returned. She paid off her debts, enrolled Ethan in a good school, and finally started to sleep peacefully again. But just as things seemed to be falling into place, life tested her once more. One afternoon, Amelia got a call from the daycare. Ethan had collapsed during playtime. Her heart nearly stopped. She dropped everything and raced to the hospital. When she arrived, she found him pale and weak on the hospital bed. The doctor explained gently that Ethan had a mild heart condition, nothing life-threatening yet, but he would need surgery soon. The cost was overwhelming. Amelia's strength shattered. She sat beside her son, holding his hand, tears silently falling. She didn't even notice when someone entered the room. "Amelia," came a familiar voice. She looked up. Mr. Hartwell stood there, concern in his eyes. "I heard what happened. How is he?" She tried to stay strong. "He'll be okay, but the surgery is expensive. I'll find a way to pay for it. I always do." He stepped closer. "You won't have to do it alone." She shook her head. "I can't accept charity." He smiled softly. "It's not charity. It's family. We take care of our own here." True to his word, he covered the medical expenses quietly, through the company's employee health program. He told no one. And when Ethan woke up after the surgery, the first person he saw, other than his mom, was Mr. Hartwell, holding a small toy car. "Hey, champ," he said with a grin. "Your mom tells me you like cars. Maybe one day, you'll design one for me." Ethan's smile returned, weak but bright. "Really?" "Really," Hartwell said warmly. That small act of kindness changed everything between them. From then on, Mr. Hartwell often visited Ethan, bringing books, puzzles, or just stories about his own childhood. And slowly, something deeper began to grow, not forced, not rushed, but natural. One evening, as they sat together outside the hospital, Amelia whispered, "I don't know how to thank you." He looked at her quietly. "You already did, the day you walked into my company and reminded me that people are what matter most, not profits." Months later, when Ethan was fully recovered, Hartwell surprised Amelia with another gesture. He promoted her, not out of pity, but because she had earned it. Her department had shown record performance under her guidance. The same co-workers who once doubted her now admired her. The single mom who had once been turned away for bringing her child to an interview was now leading a team, confident, capable, and respected. And as for Mr. Hartwell, something inside him had changed too. The loneliness of his wealth no longer felt as heavy. He had found a new kind of purpose, not in business deals, but in kindness, connection, and a little boy who called him Uncle Henry. One Friday evening, as they stood on the rooftop watching the city lights, Amelia said softly, "If you hadn't walked in that day." He interrupted gently, smiling. "Then the company would have lost its best employee, and I would have missed meeting two of the most important people in my life." Amelia smiled through tears, the skyline glowing behind them. She finally understood, sometimes rejection is just life's way of redirecting us toward where we're truly meant to be. The small hands of a sleepy little boy clung tightly to his mother's worn-out coat as they stepped into the glass building that smelled of money and power. Rainwater dripped from the edge of her scarf, her shoes squeaking softly on the marble floor. Every eye in the reception area turned toward her, not because of her beauty, but because of the little child standing beside her, clutching a faded teddy bear. Amelia took a deep breath, straightened her back, and whispered to her son, "Ethan, be quiet for just a little while, okay, sweetheart?" The boy nodded, his big brown eyes filled with the innocence of someone who didn't yet understand what rejection felt like. Amelia had been unemployed for 6 months. Her last job ended when her boss found out she couldn't always work late because she had no one to look after her son. Since her husband's sudden death 2 years ago, life had been a battle, rent overdue, bills piling up, and nights spent sewing clothes to make extra money. But today, she hoped, things might change. She was here for an interview at Hartwell Industries, one of the biggest companies in the city. This was her last chance to rebuild her life. She had no choice but to bring Ethan with her. Her babysitter had called in sick that morning. Amelia had begged her neighbor to help, but she too had to work. So Amelia took a deep breath, dressed Ethan in his cleanest shirt, and prayed the company would understand. But as soon as she entered the waiting room, she felt the coldness in the air. "Ma'am, is that your child?" the receptionist asked sharply. "Yes, but he'll sit quietly, I promise." "I'm sorry," the woman interrupted, her tone icy. "We don't allow children during interviews. It's unprofessional." Amelia's face flushed red. She tried to explain, but the receptionist looked at her with judgment. "You can reschedule," she said, "but honestly, I doubt the hiring manager will consider someone who can't even find childcare." Tears burned behind Amelia's eyes. She wanted to disappear. Ethan looked up at her, confused. "Mommy, did I do something wrong?" She knelt, forcing a smile. "No, baby. You did everything right." As she turned to leave, humiliated, a voice boomed behind her. "Excuse me, what's going on here?" Everyone turned. A tall man in a charcoal suit stood near the elevator, his expression sharp but curious. The receptionist straightened up. "Mr. Hartwell." "Sir, this applicant brought her child to the interview. I was just asking her to come back another time." Mr. Hartwell. The CEO himself. The billionaire whose name was on every product the company sold. He glanced at Amelia, wet coat, tired eyes, and a child hiding behind her leg. His gaze softened. "And why is that a problem?" he asked. "Sir, it's company policy." He raised a hand. "Then maybe the policy needs to change." The room went silent. Mr. Hartwell turned to Amelia. "Ms. Parker." "Amelia Parker," she said softly. "Miss Parker, come with me," he said with a kind smile. "And bring your son." The receptionist's mouth fell open. Inside the executive conference room, Amelia sat nervously as Ethan colored quietly on a piece of paper Mr. Hartwell had given him. The CEO sat across from her, curious but warm. "Tell me, Amelia," he said, "why do you want this job?" She hesitated, her voice trembling. "Because I need to provide for my son. Because I'm capable. I just need someone to give me a chance. I may not have much, but I work hard, and I don't give up." Hartwell studied her for a moment. "You remind me of someone," he said softly. "My mother raised me alone too." Her eyes widened. "She did." He nodded. She worked 3 jobs and still made time to read to me every night. People looked down on her, but everything I am today is because of her strength. For a moment, Amelia forgot she was speaking to a millionaire. There was humanity in his eyes, something rare in a world that had forgotten compassion. Mr. Hartwell leaned forward. You don't owe anyone an apology for being a mother. If anything, it tells me you can handle more than most people. When can you start? Amelia's lips parted. You're hiring me. He smiled. I'd be a fool not to. Her vision blurred with tears. She glanced at Ethan, who looked up, sensing her emotion. Mommy, are you happy? She pulled him into her arms. More than ever, sweetheart. That day, Amelia walked out of the building with tears on her cheeks, not from shame, but from hope. The receptionist who had once sneered now stood speechless as the CEO himself held the door open for the little boy who changed everything. Outside, the rain had stopped. For the first time in years, Amelia felt sunlight touch her heart. But this was only the beginning. Because what she didn't know was that her kindness and courage would soon change the CEO's life too, in ways neither of them could have imagined.